the first of many with Nischhal. What's up?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, bro. And we're here to talk about something that we've been wanting to talk about for like a long time. Uh,
That we talk about on a regular basis.
exactly. Yeah, we're just doing it on a podcast now. But let's talk about Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche. I think for anyone who follows philosophy, he's like a main figure. He's like an icon in that field. Uh, when did you run into Nietzsche?
Bro, I think I saw, I don't remember exactly. I saw one like very radical quote and I was like, fuck, who said this? And then I went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, similar. I that quote I ran into the God is dead and we have killed him. That was the
I
radical
think
quote that I
that was
ran
like one
into.
of the first things that I read. Bro, and I think I read the Abyss one, like if you stare into the abyss long enough, the abyss stares back at you, something like that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
saw that, I was like, fuck. There was
Okay.
another quote. It meant like those who couldn't hear the music uh, were thinking of the ones who could hear the music to be insane. Something like that. Like, I don't know. It was a very nice
Yeah,
imagery
I think
of
his one-liners have
like,
uh, created like a lot of fans.
yeah. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
it's not like fan following. I mean, personally for me, it's not like fan following. It's just like he's a very interesting person. It's not. I'm not gonna say that he's good or anything, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's just
Wasn't he
interesting
like
to think about the
very
things.
like? Wasn't he very polarized in his time? Like he had a lot of haters and a lot of believers, right? If I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
I think even right now it's like that, right? Like then
Yeah,
there will be people who love Nietzsche, and there will be people who just like hate everything related to him. And there'll be people that just want to understand. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. And let's base this conversation for people who don't know what philosophy is and just beginners. So we'll try and make this as like simple as possible. I mean, we're not pros ourselves, but
Yeah,
we're
of
just
course.
sharing whatever we know. Yeah. So Nietzsche was someone who believed a lot in the idea of power, and he divided society into master morality and slave morality. So,
Hmm.
master mindset and slave mindset. What are your thoughts on like just this division?
Well, I think so. Like the whole Sigma male thing,
Yeah.
the alpha and the beta. I think that has always been there. Like, see, there's like different ways of perceiving it, but you can't deny the fact that it exists.
Hmm.
And there's people that like are assertive, and there's people that are more like pu- like kind of pushovers. And it
Yeah.
is important in life to just assert dominance to some level. And people, now this simple fact, everyone knows this, but people take it in a very weird way. So some people take it like extreme, like I don't know, like being rude is the best way. Some people just I don't know, accept the fact that they're pushovers, nothing else. They can't do anything about it, something. So it's not about like defining your whole personality. It's just about defining your actions. Like sometimes you'll be assertive, sometimes you'll be a bit of a pushover. You can't. But like the goal is to get out of one. Like if you feel like you are too assertive, you need to become neutral. If you feel like you're just too pushovery, you need to become sort of neutral, where you can be assertive in situations and let some situations go.
I think that it's becoming harder to differentiate because do you think the world is getting more sensitive? If I were to put it just plainly, do you think the world is getting more sensitive? Do you think
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I do think that, but I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing.
can you elaborate on what thoughts are?
See, see, when like you said something to me, right? Like if you say something to me right now that hurts me,
Yeah,
like maybe 50 years ago, people would have just let that go. Right
correct.
now, people are more used to calling it out. So I don't
Yeah,
feel like it's a bad thing to call it out. But then, making a whole agenda about it, that oh, I want to call everyone out. who has anything even remotely close to this,
Yeah.
that is wrong. But then if like you're my friend, right? I'm going to be interacting with you on a regular basis. So if you're doing something that I think is wrong to me or to anyone else, in that situation, me calling you out is a good thing.
Correct.
And because I mean that culture of calling people out for, like, if you were being like super sexist or misogynist right now, I would call you out. I would have the courage to call you out because the world has become a little bit more sensitive.
Yeah.
And 50 years ago, that would not have been the case.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think it's a good thing.
But don't you think that the definition of being sensitive is also changing? So it comes back to what is not sensitive 50 years ago is sensitive now. And what is not sensitive now could be sensitive 10 years down the line. So, how do you tackle that problem of everything being sensitive? Because if you ask me the same question, I don't know the answer. I do think that we are sort of heading towards just understanding our emotional abilities more and getting in touch. Like men, it's
Yeah, get it.
become normal for
Yeah.
men to cry, and it wasn't really normal for men to cry. Let's say in the 19th century. So I do feel like we are getting closer to our sort of emotional selves.
Yeah. I agree that the whole thing, the whole point is that not just men, just like everyone in general, being in touch with your emotions. Like, I don't know, it's
Yeah,
as important to understand your emotions as it is to understand your body, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know, just like
Do you?
anger can seriously impact your health. So if you understand
Uh,
your anger, you understand where it's coming from, and you solve it at the root, you're eventually, like, in some sense, you're improving your lifestyle. So in that sense, understanding your emotions is very important. And like now people are starting to realize the importance of that, which is good. But what you
yeah,
said about everything becoming sensitive, I agree. Even I don't understand how people would tackle with that. But like what I think is, so right now, like if I call you out on something because I'm your friend, you would mind that, right? Like if I tell you that, Mithil, I don't like this that you're doing.
yeah, yeah.
Since I am someone that whose opinion you consider, you will like listen to it. But if
Correct.
it's some random guy on this road telling you, oh, don't talk like this or don't walk like this, you won't consider it, right? So I
Mm,
think,
yeah.
like, without being too arrogant, it is important to create that distinction between the people that you want to listen to and the people you don't want to listen to. And
Interesting.
like,
Good point.
again, like this whole social media thing, like like, if you're trying to be an influencer or whatever, if you post something, there'll be 10,000 comments on like either side. There will be comments appreciating you, there'll be comments just trolling you and harassing you. So those people don't listen to either, right? Like the actual successful influencers, they don't let the appreciation get into their head, and they don't let the negativity either. So it's just that. But like those same influencers, if their friend comes up to them and tells that, oh,
And
this
tells
thing that you
them,
spoke was not good, then they will listen to that. So it's, I think it's more about like understanding who you want to listen to and who you don't want to listen to.
okay, okay. Do you think Nietzsche was stoic?
I think so, maybe. I mean, see, his whole thing was about like stoicism is just like accepting
It's
the thing
yeah. It's
that
not letting. It's not stoicism. With whatever I know, and I may be completely wrong, but I think stoicism is not taking decisions based on your emotions.
yeah, stoicism is just basically letting go of the things that you can't change and sticking to the things that you like, focusing on the things that you can change, which is similar to what I said before when I was trying to explain Nietzsche. So I do think Nietzsche was in some essence stoic.
Yeah, yeah. Who do you think today represents an idealistic version of Nietzsche? And I guess the most obvious answer to that would be Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Can you think of any more like forefront figures who to represent his ideals? I guess, bro, if Nietzsche was in today, like if Nietzsche existed today, he would be like hated
Obviously,
intensely. I have a feeling that yeah,
yeah, I feel like
he
Nietzsche would tweet racist slurs, but like the point is that, I mean, yeah, I agree. Then it comes back to that sensitivity thing that you said. People have become more
yeah,
sensitive. People have gotten more like verbal about what they like or don't like emotionally.
Yeah.
So because of that
Yeah.
fact, that he would be hated right now.
Interesting. Okay. One of Nietzsche's most famous ideas, and I'm trying to read this out, is called the Übermensch, which is the Superman
Hmm.
in German. And the core idea is the ideal human being. So the Übermensch, he said, is someone who possesses his ideal characteristics. It's someone who creates their own values instead of blindly following religion, culture, or society. And it's cool because it's about becoming your most authentic and powerful self, even if it means walking alone. I think the Ubermensch is a
I,
great example.
yeah, I think like if you take it in the right essence, I think that's a very
Okay.
great philosophy that people actually can implement in their life. Like, see, the thing is, like, just keep gender aside, okay? It's for all people. It's just that his generation was different. I'm saying, like, if you apply it to just people in general, see, these influencers and all, like, I'm not calling anyone out or anything. I'm just saying, like, we're led to believe there are these narratives going on, right? Like, it's basically that, oh, however you are good, and people should accept you the way that you are,
Yeah.
which, like, sounds good, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like something like, oh, yeah, obviously, this makes sense. But if you think about it, like, no, the goal of life is to just constantly be improving. And so, and what Nietzsche was getting at, I feel like the point is that the improvement that I'm saying, that should be defined by your own values and what you think you want from yourself, not by society. But in any case, it is important to keep improving. You
Yeah.
can't say that, oh, because I am, I'm confident, I don't want to improve. And because I don't play by anyone's rule, I'm a maverick. That's why, and I don't believe in society's version of values. That's why I don't want to improve. Fine. I mean, I get it if you don't believe in society's values, but then you should have your own set that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, it's not about like it's not about following anyone's improvement. Like, see what these people, that the narrative that you are perfect the way that you are. What that narrative is trying to get at is that you shouldn't change for anyone other than yourself. But then you should. What they leave out is that you should change for yourself. So, what Nietzsche is like his Obermensch thing is, creating your own values thing. And I think like that was one of his core philosophies that you're not born with meaning, you create meaning for yourself. That's
Okay.
about like understanding yourself, understanding what you want, and improving according to that. So, you're not saying that you're perfect. You're not saying that, oh, because I don't play by society's rule, it means that I don't have to change. It's not like that. Even if you don't play by society's rule, which is fair in all means, by all means, you should still have your own set of rules. Like, bro, I feel like so. This is a very, I don't know if this is a good analogy, okay? But then, like superheroes and all, Batman, let's say,
Yeah.
he's not following society's rules, right? He's being a
Correct.
vigilante. He's, but then he has his own set of morals.
Hmm.
So it's not like we idolize him because he's not playing by society's rules. But if he was just like a mindless menace, then it would be different. What is key about him is that he has his own set of morals.
And he's
So the
constantly improving himself to achieve towards those set of morals that he believes in.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's how people should take it. It's
Interesting.
not
How
saying
do you,
that defy everyone. It's just saying that
yeah,
think about what you want from yourself and achieve that.
how do you think people perceive it wrongly? Do you think they just take it as you said, I'm not going to change because this is who I am and people should love me for who I am?
Yeah, see what people think when they read this philosophy, what people think he's implying is that you should not change just in general. Like
Huh.
if you're bad, you shouldn't
Just
change. You
be a
should just
rebel.
be
Yeah.
yeah. That's not what he's saying.
Got it. Got
So
it. Got
in
it.
that sense, I feel like people perceive it wrongly.
Yeah. And I guess that whole point of to just be happy with who you are applicable to aspects that are not in our control. So let's say you were
Yeah,
born with a deficiency that you can't really change. Then that sort of idea of don't let people let you down, all that motivational thing comes in. I'm
yeah,
just trying to like figure it out.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
That's where the entire stoicism thing comes in, right? Like it
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's just important to understand what you can change and try to change that, and understand what you can't change and try to be okay with that.
And let that be. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that's
So
that's the formula of like ultimate happiness? I mean, that's a huge term, ultimate happiness, but
yeah.
do you think that's the formula? What do you think?
I don't know, honestly. I don't know if
Yeah.
that would be the ultimate. I feel like it is kind of the ultimate formula to achieving your goals. In the sense, if I'm distracted by things I cannot change, then I'm not focusing on the things that I want to achieve. So if you
Yeah.
want to achieve your goals, to some extent, you have to let go of things that you can't change and focus on the things that you can change. So I feel like that is kind of the formula to achieving your goals. I don't know about happiness.
Yeah. Okay. Another core idea is perspectivism. I feel like you and I have discussed this in the past, okay? And I just want to expand on that. So it says there is no absolute truth, only different perspectives shaped by our background, values, and will. Um, and this is a little bit about Greek philosophy as well, right? I think Socrates was the one who used to win debates not by answering but by questioning,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
that's similar to what Nietzsche is doing here. And all the morals that are present in society happen because of some background, some reason. They're not just there. What are your thoughts on that whole perspective?
See, I agree 100% that you can't define absolute truth. And you can't define
Hmm.
absolute like, oh, this is wrong and this is right. And there's perspectives to everything, which is it's why, like, I mean, see, I think an ideal ruler would,
Hmm.
in my opinion, an ideal ruler would have one person by his side to always criticize him.
Mm. I think Marcus
So
Aurelius had this, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, anyways, yeah.
yeah, I think so. I'm not sure, but yeah, you need some sort of constructive criticism. So that's
Okay.
where this whole, I mean, yeah, like you can't again. I What I said about how you need to decide which people you will want to
Which
listen to,
people you correct,
whose criticism you want to listen to. If
correct.
it is someone very wise and very, someone that you trust, you want to listen to
Hmm.
their opinion. You want to listen to them tell you what you're doing wrong, that so that you can fix it.
Okay. Um, the next one is Amor Fati, the love of fate. Don't just accept life's challenges, embrace them as essential parts of your story. And I was really fascinated while reading this, okay, because Nietzsche was someone who believed in the necessity of pain. He believed that
Yeah, yeah.
pain was necessary to attain power. And for Nietzsche, power was beyond all materialistic possessions, everything. So he said that life's greatness lies in acquiring power and ruling people. Um, why I was so fascinated was with this is because pain is something that's pushed in, like pushed down upon, like suppressed in today's society. Get rid of pain, make life
Yeah.
easy. But this completely goes against the modern day philosophy, right? That's why this got me hooked onto him, because he said pain is necessary for greatness.
See, I don't agree with the power part. Okay, like
Okay.
eh, I don't know. People can have different things that they want to achieve in life. People can have different things that they want in life, and but I agree with the suffering part, because I think whatever you want to achieve, in some sense, suffering is essential. See, like, I don't know, if I start reading rocket science right now, I will
Hmm.
feel so fucking dumb,
Hmm.
but it will help me become smarter, right? So I am having a slight moment of suffering where I'm feeling dumb, where I'm feeling like I'm not good enough. But that feeling is essential for me to
Well,
just put in more effort and
effort.
actually,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So if my If my goal is to learn rocket science, then I need to deal with that suffering as well. That suffering is actually what makes it better for me. So it's about what you want, but eventually, for whatever you want, you need to suffer a little bit. Even like if your end goal is love, if you feel like love is the only point of life, if you're in a relationship, there will be moments where
Suffering.
you just where you're suffering, where you can't, where you don't necessarily feel great,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
you hold on to that suffering because that suffering is making you better.
Absolutely. Suffering
Mhm.
is necessity for success, right?
I agree. I mean,
Okay.
why do you see so many rags to riches stories? Because the people that suffered understood the value of, money, power, fame, whatever, and then
Hmm.
they eventually worked hard enough to get that. So it's
Hmm.
not like you don't need to go by any predefined rules or predefined goals. You find out your own goals, but then whatever your goals are, in some essence, you will have to suffer to achieve that.
Do you believe in the this idea that the amount of suffering is equally proportionate to the amount of success you get? And I don't. I don't agree. What are your thoughts?
I wouldn't say. I mean, proportional. It's about, I think amount of success is more about, see, people can suffer and just take, like, I don't know, turn that suffering into something bad. People can, you know, the point that I made earlier, if was that, like, if the suffering turns out to be productive for me, like,
Hmm.
if that suffering, like the, let's say the rocket science example,
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel dumb. And because of that suffering, I'm trying to motivate, because of feeling dumb, I'm trying to motivate
Motivate.
myself to become smarter.
So
So
that's a good
that
example.
motivation, or that that determination is still necessary. It's not just that if you keep suffering you'll eventually get successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to channel that suffering into something better. So I don't think it's directly proportional in that sense.
Yeah. And no, what I was hinting to was that there is an element of smart work, because let's say a laborer works twice as hard as a CEO, but the CEO gets more success. Why is that? Because I mean that's a whole other analogy, but
Yeah,
that's because the CEO paid attention, suffered in the things that mattered. So he chose his sufferings,
yeah.
like productively, if I were
I
to put
agree.
it like that.
Again, that's what I said. Like, see, you need to define your goals. So it's not just, oh, I want to be successful. That's not a goal. That's just a expectation. That's just a broad idea
That's
of a goal.
that's a broad idea. Exactly. That's not a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you define many goals and you decide
Hmm.
that, these goals are absolutely essential for me, and no matter how much I suffer, I want to achieve these goals,
Yeah. Yeah.
then that suffering is helping you. But then, so that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe the laborer was suffering with something else. Maybe the
Correct.
laborer decided to suffer with something else, and the CEO decided to suffer with
Suffer.
something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
And the CEO's suffering turned out to be good. The laborer's suffering, I mean, what he decided to suffer for, turned out to be not so productive. So
Correct.
it does come down to your intellect, because that decision that you're making, oh, I want to suffer for this, I don't want to suffer for this. That is kind of based on your intellect.
Hmm. Hmm.
People can't
You said
get
you. Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
people can't get successful without being smart. So being smart is there.
Correct. You said you disagree with the idea of power. What exactly
Yeah.
do you disagree on?
I I don't think that you can define all of human wants with one word or with one concept. I don't think people. I
With
don't
power?
think people are. Yeah, I don't think people are as uncomplicated as that. I think people are very nuanced and have all sorts of. I mean, I don't know, expectations and goals and ideas of life, ideas of a perfect life, and you can't just. If I don't think it is possible to sum that down into one concept.
That's interesting. But My whole idea with that was that people have different goals, people are nuanced, people are complex. But don't you think that deep down, like the core value of human beings is a sense of power, in the sense, yeah, they'd want to maybe be respected by their family. That's also a sense of power. Maybe they'd want to be respected by, if they have a startup, by their employees. That's also a sense of power. What are your thoughts? It's yeah,
I mean, yeah, I agree. There is, that sense of wanting power in different aspects of life. So that's
yeah.
true. Like, let's say the family example. When someone feels respected by their family, they don't perceive it as power, they perceive it as love. And when someone gets respect from their employees, maybe they
Hmm.
don't perceive it as power, they perceive it as how, I mean, their intellect or the goodness of their work. So
Yeah.
that, I mean, the same thing can mean differently for other people, for different people. So, like, if I don't know, if I have a company and my employees respect me, I think of it as power. But if you have a company and your employees respect you, you think of that, you think that is a result of your wisdom or your work ethic,
Of my intellect, maybe. Yeah.
of your intellect. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So maybe the thing that is appeasing to me is that, oh, I'm powerful. The thing that is appeasing to you is that, oh, I'm smart.
Interesting. Okay. So you believe in a lot of subjectivity and everyone's
Yeah,
different.
I do.
Okay. Hmm. Okay. Uh, Eternal recurrence. Again, this is very interesting. Imagine living your life over and over again infinitely. Would you say yes to that? And why it's cool is because it's a sort of thought experiment that
Yeah.
challenges you to live a life that you'll be proud to repeat.
Honestly, though, I don't think anyone would be proud to repeat their life, right? Like, no matter how amazing your life is,
Huh.
I mean, let's break it down. Let's say you had a very great day,
Hmm.
but you can't keep having the same day over and over again, right? Like, you wouldn't want to be stuck in, you wouldn't want to be stuck in that time loop. So when he says that, if you don't think about repeating your current life all over again, and if you don't like it, try to change it. I don't think I disagree with that. I don't think that motivation works, because no matter how much you change it, at some point you won't like it. You won't like to live it again.
But don't you think that, let's say, you have your challenges in life, but in the end, you are satisfied? You say, yeah, I've achieved everything I've wanted, I've been successful, I have a good family, I've lived all of life's experiences. And your life is like a full circle, in the sense that you have experienced everything that there is to experience as a human being. And then when you die, God says, oh, you can live this life infinitely. Would you still say no?
I would,
Why?
even if I'm doing great at something. Let's say
Hmm.
you're a CEO of a company, you're earning $5 million every year.
Oh,
You still want to grow at some level, right? I
correct.
I don't know, like you can't. It's different for people, but I feel like for me personally, I don't think I would ever be satisfied with success or with money. I want more,
Hmm.
and I think of that as a good thing. I don't think of that as a bad thing.
It is.
Yeah. So I think it's the same thing. I think if you told me that you've experienced everything there is to experience in life, your life is like the closest thing to perfect there can be. I think that
Hmm.
fact itself would make me feel depressed, because just
Why?
knowing that,
Huh.
that's the thing. Like, just know, if I just knowing that, oh, it can't get better than this, as in there's no scope for improvement. There's no,
Huh.
there's nothing to go beyond this. That simple fact would make me feel bad.
But don't you won't you feel a little bit happy that you have experienced the ultimate satisfaction? Like this is the best like what you've experienced, it can't get better than this. So won't you feel a little happy that you have experienced the peak?
I mean, obviously it's
I guess there's
rhetorical,
two
but
ways of looking at it. Yeah.
yeah, I think so. But I don't think I would be exactly happy because, again, I think life is just about growing. See,
Hmm.
I'll tell you, this is a very weird example, but the stock market, right? Like, if I tell you that Amazon is going to be at a certain price point through 20 years, you won't want that,
Yeah.
right? Because you want
Yeah.
growth in that stock. That's why you buy it because you want growth. I think it's the same with life. You live life because you want growth.
You want
If I
growth.
tell you, yeah, if I tell you that, if you tell me that this is, you're living a very great life, this is amazing, but it can't get better than this. Ultimately, I don't want this. I don't want this.
Okay. Okay.
I don't want
Okay.
this. I want this. So even if it's like this, I would rather have this than have this.
Even when you're dying, if they say that, like, I'm asking you this when you're dying. So when you're dying, you can't really grow, can you? You're sort of stuck, like you're dying, you're dead. So when you're dying, if
I
God
mean,
says, oh, you've lived a life like this.
this is. I mean, I'm saying this with the assumption that, oh, life is going to be repeated. So if you tell me that I'm going to be, I mean, like my life is going to be repeated, but I can't do anything differently. This is the best that it's going to get. Then I'll be sad. Because
Okay.
if I'm
Okay.
repeating life,
Okay.
then I want to do it even better than I did last time.
Okay. Understood. Yeah. Then I guess it makes sense. I think a lot of people would agree with you. Yeah.
Hmm.
Makes sense.
What do you think about this?
For me, I think if God said that this is the peak experience that you have, I would still feel happy that I've had the privilege to experience the peak. And
Hmm.
if he asked me if I would like to repeat it multiple times, I would think about it.
Hmm.
But
Makes sense.
I still think that I'll feel happy that lived all the experiences to have achieved the peak of human experience at some level.
That makes sense. That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess everything we do in life is directed towards that like peak experience, right? Because we all want to live that peak human life.
No, it makes sense. I feel like, I mean, obviously, I don't know if I'm implementing this or if I will be able to implement this. But I think, in my opinion, if I was trying my opinion of a perfect person, I would try to,
Hmm.
I mean, I would not, it would not be about getting to a certain stage in life. It would be to, it's about the suffering again, because ultimately the pleasure that you get from achieving your goals, the pleasure that you get from going one step forward, that matters more than the step you take. Because, see, when I achieve something, what matters more to me is that feeling of achievement rather than what I have achieved. Let's say I make one, let's say I make 1 lakh rupees today.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
1 lakh rupees makes me very happy. But that feeling that I get when I get that 1 lakh rupees, it's not related to, I mean, it's not because, oh, now I have 1 lakh. It's because I did something to get 1 lakh. I feel like that suffering that I endured to make
Hmm.
that 1 lakh rupees,
Hmm.
that is ultimately what's giving me happiness rather than having 1 lakh rupees. So, like, if
Makes
someone told
sense.
you today that, oh, see, let's say 100 crores, if someone gave you 100 crores today and said, this is more than enough for you to last, for you to live your life, for you to do whatever you want to do, and just take this, and you're just never allowed to work a single day in your life, or you're never allowed to do anything productive a single day in your life. Would you take it?
Yeah. No.
Exactly. So it's not about, it's not having that 100 crores that
It's not
make
about
you,
the suffering.
it's about, yeah, it's about the suffering. It's about the sense of achievement that you get after you
Get
endure something and you achieve something.
got it. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, here's another very interesting question. Um, it says, what do you think Nietzsche would say about today's obsession with social media validation and self-image?
Hmm. I think it's about what that thing that we discussed earlier, right? About how the
Hmm.
whole, don't listen to society, but
Yeah.
create your own
Yeah.
values thing. I think you
Yeah.
would hate. I think you would fucking hate this thing that we have, where we seek validation from other people, because I
Yeah.
think
Absolutely.
from what I understand, his whole motto basically was that don't listen to other people, but have your own sense of what you want. So
Correct. People
if you're
blindly following the
defining,
crowd.
yeah, exactly. If people are defining what they want based on what is popular or based on what other people want, that
Yeah.
I feel like is somewhat failing the civilization.
Correct. And people often, he would hate it because influencers become influencers because they post what's trending. They do what's
Hmm.
trending instead of asserting their own values. Sure, there's a sense of authenticity, but at its core level, they're still doing what people want, what people like. I feel like that relates a lot to herd mentality, slave morality,
Exactly.
those concepts.
It's a vicious cycle. It's eventually it's bad for health, I would say, and it's kind of a exaggeration. But
Yeah,
ultimately, if you're not, you need some sort of objectivity in life. I mean, people are getting together and deciding that this is good, and then the influencer is picking up on that and deciding that, oh, people are responding well to this, so I want to make something out of this. And
correct.
then other people that were not previously influenced by that are now influenced by it because of that particular social media influencer. So it's just a
Yeah,
vicious cycle of people just thinking the same thing over and over again.
yeah, yeah. And I guess um, the will to power as well as a concept has been completely misguided, hasn't it? Um, People still have the will to power, but it's often just by chasing followers, clout, follow
Yep.
counts, etc. But
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Nietzsche's idea of will to power was completely based on setting his own values.
Sense. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, your power should not be defined by, I don't know, like this whole concept of having power over other people because they watch your content or because they listen to what you're saying.
Hmm.
I mean, that might be someone's personal goal, but
Yeah.
then it doesn't, I don't resonate with that. I don't, yeah, I don't have a lot to say on this, but I just don't resonate with that.
Interesting. Okay. Do you have anything else that you want to say about Nietzsche?
Like the last point that we discussed, the whole
Power thing,
the whole
vicious cycle.
vicious cycle.
Yeah.
I feel like capitalism comes in there because, see, when there is a certain, there is something that's popular, that's, making, that's influencing other people, then it's
Hmm.
very easy for capitalism to ruin lives with that. In the sense that, I mean, there will be, let's say, this something new that's come out that's very trendy. It's a small thing. It's like a handmade thing, but then
A
the
fidget spinner.
as soon, yeah, a physics spinner. As soon as it, I mean, I don't think this happened exactly, but I'm saying like in a hypothetical situation, as soon as that thing becomes popular, there's a company that comes up that makes it,
I'm sure
and
there
then
had been so many companies that came up that made fidget spinners. Yeah.
yeah, so then I don't know, you're allowing this one corporation to control your like life in some sense, to control your spending, to control your, see, money is ultimately very important to people, right? It's one of the most important things in your life, and you're allowing, I mean, you're basically offsourcing those money decisions to a corporation just because they know what you like,
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
just because you're verbal about, I mean, you're following that sort of herd mentality, or because you're, listening. I mean, you're going with the crowd. That
But
corporation has the power to manipulate that entire crowd that's going.
yeah, I guess that's true. But also, don't you think that we do have our own free will to decide whether we want to purchase a product or not? But then I guess it's so much more complex than that because of demand, supply.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's so many external factors. But yeah,
I don't think. I mean, so have you watched Fight Club?
no.
There's this one line in that. It's about like how advertising has us working jobs that we hate to buy things that we don't need. I think that somewhat makes sense because I don't know. Maybe I feel like this thing that I've seen, I absolutely need it. That's why I'm purchasing it,
Yeah.
and it's not influenced by marketing or by influencers or by anything negative. It's just my plain free will. But I don't think. I think on a subconscious level, all these marketing efforts, all these, I mean, just manipulative efforts
Yeah.
on a subconscious level that works better than we even realize.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. So there's a lot of okay. That's how you're saying capitalism as an
Yeah.
evil force. That's how you're seeing capitalism as an evil force.
I don't completely think of capitalism as an evil force. I'm just saying the herd mentality makes it easier for capitalism to show its bad side.
Hmm. Yeah. I guess. I guess. Yeah.
See,
What
because
else? You have. Hmm.
yeah, the luxury brands, let's say your Louis Vuitton or like a Hermes, that bag that Hermes sells. I don't know if you know about this, but then there's some specific bag by Hermes that you can't directly just buy it with money. There's a whole like set of hoops that you have to jump through to be able to buy that bag. You have
Okay.
to get like you have to make X amount of purchases with Hermes first of other products. You have to have good relationship with your Hermes whatever employee or staff, or you need to have, I don't know, you need to get on a certain number of waiting lists. And then after a shit ton of effort, you get that bag. Why is why are people accepting that kind of treatment? Earlier it used to be customer is the king.
Yeah.
Why are people accepting that treatment? Because of herd mentality. Because there's if they reject that Hermes bag, there's 100 other people that still associate some value to it.
Correct. Correct.
And because as a group we associate value to it, we give that thing a sort of controlling power.
Makes sense.
Because that's
Yeah.
not it's not that bag is not worth all that effort, it's not worth all that money, but we're just deciding one day randomly to give it that value. And because we're giving it that value, we are the ones that are suffering because of it. All these
Because
luxury
when
brands,
we
they do.
because when we
Sorry.
buy that particular product, there's a sense of status that's elevated,
Yeah.
and we are seen as different from the herd, from the normal crowd, because we
Yeah, but
have
then
this luxurious product.
in that effort to be seen as different from the herd, you're actually falling prey to the herd.
Correct.
Let's say
Absolutely.
if all 8 billion people on earth decided that Hermes bags don't mean shit,
Yeah.
it would be out on the street for like 1 millionth of a price that it's being sold for today.
Correct. Correct.
That's
Correct.
the whole thing. Like you're giving these corporations power, and all these. I think this is true. I think I've deviated to some extent, but all these luxury products is the same thing. It's not, it's not different. It's not that that material that they're using is worth something, or
Huh.
the making of that product is justifying. I think that's a very rare scenario. It's more about just like them purposely restricting supply and creating that illusion of them demand, or creating that illusion of a low supply, which eventually fuels demand.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe,
Absolutely.
yeah. Let's say I have 100 pencils, and I tell you
Hmm.
I have two, and I tell you it's limited edition. There's only two in the entire world. You would want to buy that, and then I tell the next 100 people that I only have two,
That's
and
just
all
you're
100 people
creating
buy.
demand. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Any closing statements to this whole uh Nietzsche and his ideas?
I think in from what I understand in life, it's very important to define. Like I said, it's important to define the things that you can change, and it's important to define the things that you can't change, and make a conscious effort on both. Like, make a conscious effort to accept that, oh, I can't change this, and make a
Hmm.
conscious effort to change the things that you can change. And let's say, like, I understand that I can't change one thing, but then I can work to find the way around that thing.
Yeah.
That sort of determination is required.
Okay.
It's just about having some sort of, I don't know, definition of what you want and how you can achieve that. And to achieve that, what are the things that you can influence and what are the things that you can't. And just segregating the two well, and just focusing your efforts where they are needed.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my key takeaway with Nietzsche would be his idea of not suppressing suffering and pain, because that
That as
is
well. That as well.
extremely essential. Yeah,
Yeah.
that for me is the
Like I said, that the 100 crores thing. I
yeah
don't think I think most of us won't like that scenario where someone gives us 100 crores and tells us not to work. At least
yeah.
ambitious people.
Temporarily, that would be a very good like decision. Oh, I have
Yeah,
100
yeah.
crores. I'm going to do whatever I want. But then after some time, you'd feel devastated.
Exactly. So it's
Yeah,
important to realize the simple fact that the happiness that you get after achieving something is not because of what you achieved. It's because of that feeling of that hard work that you put in to achieve it.
yeah. Well said. Well summed up. Um, yeah, and that's 52 minutes of Friedrich Nietzsche and his
Perfect.
ideas. This is not the last time we're going to be doing this. We'll try and do like a lot more of these
Great.
more often.
Amazing.
How'd you feel?
We can do. I felt amazing. It was so fun. But I
Yeah,
think I just let go. I just honestly, I don't
yeah.
think I remember half the shit I said, but it was just coming from a very authentic place.
Bro, that's how podcasts are meant to be. You're just supposed to say whatever you feel like, just raw. I feel like that's why these are like so much better than interviews.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Perfect, man. Thank you so much for doing this. We will catch up
Thank
again
you.
very soon.
And
Oh.